Hello, this is Mr. Cruz. This is our flipped classroom video on the Industrial Revolution. By no means is this meant to be everything that we're going to cover in Industrial Revolution. This is not all-inclusive. We will be analyzing primary documents, reading from our textbook, doing document-based questions, etc. But this is, supplemental. Maybe the in-class flip, maybe the flip, but it's meant to be interactive either way. Another good thing about the flipped classroom, if you're homesick, you're not absent. You're doing what we're doing in class. Do all the work that is asked of you during this video. You can take a picture of it with your smartphone and you can upload it to our website, and I will grade you. You can miss class and still get an A on everything. Okay, so a few things before we get rolling. A lot of this lesson we will also cover in the Gilded Age. I decided to keep those two topics separate and make separate lessons on them, so there will be some overlap. There will be some things missing from this lesson that we'll cover in the Gilded Age. Okay, as we were saying, or as I was saying, this is meant to be interactive, so I'm not going to read this to you. You read it for yourself, and please answer question number 1. So in your notebooks, copy the question. The question's up here in red, and please read this small passage. My source here is Encyclopedia Britannica. Okay, go. Hit pause. Okay, what'd you get for question number 1? Describe the process of change caused by the Industrial Revolution. So I'll get you started on this first one. I'm not going to do it the whole video. So as we see here, as we read, it should have came out right here. We should say, I think I'm close. The process of change from an agrarian handicraft economy to one dominated by industry and machine manufacturing. Now, we don't want to just copy, right? No one's going to give you a job because you know how to copy things. We're not trying to copy things. But how can you put that in your own words? We went from being farmers out in the country to working in factories and mass producing things. Something to that extent. These questions are not very hard, so don't overthink them. So in your notebook, you should have this question written down, and you should have some kind of an answer in your own words, preferably. I'm not looking to see that you know how to copy. Okay, here's one of the things that causes a lot of confusion. For this lesson, we're talking about the Industrial Revolution in America. I want you to understand the difference between the first Industrial Revolution and the second Industrial Revolution. So please read this passage right here. Identify which country saw the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. So please read this passage. Copy down this question and then answer the question. Go ahead and hit pause. Okay, you should have answered question number 2. That should be copied and the answer should be in your notebook. Let's move on. The second Industrial Revolution. Here is question number 3. Please write question number 3 in your notebook. Please read this passage. Hit pause and answer question number 3 in your notebook. Go ahead and do that now. Okay, so for that one, you should have had a Venn diagram made of the first and second Industrial Revolutions. And even if you don't know anything about it yet, if you missed some class last week or whatever, you should still be able to answer these questions. Feel free when you hit pause to do a little extra research. If this little reading passage doesn't do it for you, if you think you need more, that's okay. That's the thing with the flipped classroom. You control the pace of the class. You differentiate the course to fit your learning style. So go ahead and use outside sources if you like. So now in your notebook, you should have 3 questions copied, 3 questions answered. And just a word on this. I wanted to clarify the first Industrial Revolution with the second at the beginning of the lesson. For the rest of this lesson, we're just going to say Industrial Revolution. We're not going to call it the Gilded Age yet, because that's another lesson, as I said earlier. And we're not going to keep saying the second Industrial Revolution. We're just going to say the Industrial Revolution. I want you to be aware of the difference, and so you're not confused if you hear those two terms in other classes or other sources when you read. So we should have an understanding at this point that we're just going to go with Industrial Revolution. Okay, the Bessemer process is our first topic. Okay, it was patented in 1856. We'll get to patent when we do our vocabulary words in this lesson. Here's the deal. It didn't invent steel. Sometimes I hear people say that. It wasn't the first time steel was made. Steel was around before the Bessemer process. However, it was incredibly expensive, and it was an incredibly long, slow procedure. That is until this gentleman here, Mr. Henry Bessemer, created the Bessemer process. On our test, by the way, you're going to see photos of people we talk about in this lesson, and you might just see this photo, or this one, or this one. It'll be one of these three, and I'm going to ask you, identify this person. What did they invent or contribute, and how did it impact society? So you'll have 3 questions. Those 3 questions per photo. All I'm going to provide you with is the photo. So make sure you're putting the names with the faces here. Okay, so what this did was it made steel for the very first time relatively cheap. It found a way to take pig iron and turn it into steel quickly and efficiently. And as we say, time is money. And steel was much more preferred during the Industrial Revolution. Again, we're going from agricultural society to a society of manufacturing, from country to cities, etc. Here's actually a modern day photo of a Bessemer converter. Let me fix that for you there. Modern day photo of a Bessemer converter. This is absolutely huge. If you notice, here's a car. Small little car there. So this will kind of give you an idea how big this thing is, right? So now we're going to see a short video on the Bessemer process. Before we start this video on the Bessemer process, I want you to understand what you're doing while the video is playing. We're not just sitting here being passive listeners. You're going to take Cornell notes on this video, and you get to use these notes on the exit ticket today. The last 6 minutes of class, we're having an exit ticket. It'll be really easy if you take good notes. You're also going to get another grade for the same notes. When I grade your notebook, I'll be looking for these notes. So there's 2 different ways these notes are going to help you, and not to mention the exam on the Industrial Revolution. So that's at least 3 different grades on these notes. And these YouTube videos are not mine. These videos that are embedded in the PowerPoint, I didn't make them. Thank you, the people that did. I can't really thank most of these people because they have a username that doesn't really make sense. But I just want to make sure it's known that I didn't make these videos. I'm not claiming that I did. I'm just using them for educational purposes. So here we go. Okay, students, get ready. The Bessemer process is your topic in your Cornell notes. So make sure you make that L. You have an inch on the bottom for your summary of that page. Your left margin's over approximately 2.5 inches for your topic, which is the Bessemer process.
In 1800, Britain was producing 3,000 tons of steel a year. But very soon, demand was outstripping supply. Everybody wanted steel for their engineering, the expanding railways, the shipbuilding, the larger tugs. The problem was eventually solved in 1856, when Henry Bessemer invented a process for producing mass-produced steel. This giant machine is a Bessemer converter. It can convert 25 tons of molten iron to steel in 20 minutes. In 1855, Bessemer experimented with a vertical converter, but in 1860 he patented this, the fast-acting tilting converter. This was the breakthrough Sheffield had been waiting for. The Bessemer process could convert high phosphorus local iron ore into steel. No more need for Swedish iron. Sheffield was poised to become king of steel. The bowl is tilted down and low-grade molten pig iron is poured in through the mouth, then swung back to vertical, and a blast of air is blown through the base of the converter, through the liquid metal. The low-grade iron is high in carbon and the hot air burns off the excess carbon. A spectacular 10-metre flame and fountain of gases shoot out of the mouth. When the iron is purified, the bowl is tilted down again and the newly made steel teamed or poured out into ladles and cast into ingot moulds. Bessemer steel was an engineer's dream. A material for everyday use stronger than iron. And within 20 years, Sheffield alone was producing 10,000 tonnes of Bessemer steel a week. That was a quarter of the UK output. It was used for machinery, for railways, for household goods, everything.
Okay, so that was the Bessemer process. You should be able to tell me what it was, who invented it, what it did, what was its impact. Okay, we're going to include Mr. Bessemer with this tree map. When we're done with this part of the lesson where we're introducing just some of the individuals who had an impact during the Industrial Revolution, you're going to make a tree map on these individuals. I'll do the first one for you, the first branch in class. You can use that as a model, and then you'll finish it. But don't work on your tree map until we're all done. So just follow these directions. While we're watching this, as far as today is concerned, you're taking good notes. Because again, you have an exit ticket the last 6 minutes of class. If you're home sick, you'll take your exit ticket when you come back, and I'll let you use your notes. Okay, your exam on the Industrial Revolution, one part of it is going to be strictly visual. I'm going to show you a picture, and you have to tell me who is this person, describe his achievement during the Industrial Revolution, and then you have to tell me how did it impact the Industrial Revolution and the country as a whole, and the world for that matter. So all I'm going to give you on the exam is a picture, and you got to do these three things. So let's start with this guy right here, Cornelius Vanderbilt. You don't have to memorize the dates when he was born and when he died. It's just to give you an idea of when he was around. So what was his achievement? Okay, these are two famous pictures of Vanderbilt. Know what these guys look like. Okay, Cornelius Vanderbilt. When you think of Vanderbilt, you think of railroads, you think of trains. Trains shipping people and shipping goods. You can imagine how important that is, because in the real world, time is what? Time is money. I can get more people to more places now than ever before. I can get more goods to more places than ever before. To you, your generation with the interweb and smarty phones and all that and eBay, it may not seem like a big deal, but at this time, this changed the whole ballgame. All commerce, all trade, all business, people traveling. I can be in the West Coast somewhere and buy something that was made in New York a month ago. That's crazy. So you got people spending money and supporting businesses they otherwise would not have been able to. But when you think of Vanderbilt, you think of trains. And we're going to watch, actually there's a train right here, Cornelius Vanderbilt. I don't know if you can make that out, right there, Cornelius Vanderbilt. So that's what you should identify him with. This is probably one of the more famous political cartoons on Vanderbilt. I'm not telling you what this political cartoon means. You're going to tell me. So let's hit pause for a minute. I want you to examine this political cartoon. Examine it and write down in your notebook. Okay, we're just doing a political cartoon right now. Write down in your notebook what you think this video means. Let's hit pause. Interpret this political cartoon. Go. Okay, we should have an interpretation of this political cartoon in our notebooks. We're going to discuss it in class right now, and we're going to pick up on the next video. This is the end of video 1 on the Industrial Revolution.